Hello, everybody. This is Bryce Drew from Grand Canyon University, and welcome to episode 113 of the Talking Grammar podcast.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Chef Grammar with the Albuquerque Journal, and this is, as you just heard, episode 113 of the Talking Grammar podcast. Guest this show is Grand Canyon coach Bryce Drew. For those that don't know, Grand Canyon University is not just a future member of the Mountain West, it is a current member of the Mountain West. A somewhat surprising, I guess, quicker than originally anticipated joining of the Mountain West Conference in Grand Canyon, joining this year immediately as opposed to next summer when they were originally, the new teams were said to have originally be joining the Mountain West Conference. Grand Canyon's here now, and for those that don't know, they're a pretty good basketball program. They have been in the WAC. This will be a step up for them. But in Bryce Drew's career there, he has 120 wins and 40 losses, 750 winning percentage. He's been to 4 NCAA tournaments, and it's a good program. They do have some turnover. Who doesn't in college basketball? 7 new transfers, 4 or 5 new freshmen coming in. So a lot of turnover for them too. But I anticipate they're going to be a lot better than some around the Mountain West might anticipate a newcomer being. So glad he came on the show, and you're going to get to know him a little bit more about his program and his background as the show goes on. At the end of this show, I'm also going to have the latest What's Up in 505 podcast, the new podcast I'm doing, which is sports stories told in 5 minutes, 5 seconds that all have ties to the 505, which is here in Albuquerque. Again, I'm old enough to remember when 505 was the area code over the whole state. Now it's obviously split. More central New Mexico is 505. The rest of the state's 575. But former Lobo Alex Kirk, who's playing professionally in Japan. That podcast is out already individually. Some of you guys may have seen it as a standalone podcast, but it will also be after my Bryce Drew interview. It will be on this episode of the Talking Grammar podcast as well. So without further ado, I am going to get now to today's guest, Bryce Drew, the new head coach, not the new head coach, the head coach of the Mountain West's newest member, Grand Canyon University. All right. Hey, Bryce, thank you for coming on. It's nice getting to know you and introducing you to some Lobo fans and some Mountain West fans. First of all, thanks for coming on the podcast, man.
Well, thank you for having me, and it's definitely been a whirlwind, a lot in a short amount of time, but excited to be with you and excited for the future in the Mountain West.
You know, for the fans who don't know, I don't know how big a fan you are if you don't know this already, but Grand Canyon is now in the Mountain West this season, not next year. The process of that, I don't know how long ago you kind of saw it maybe heading in this direction, or when you sort of became aware that the Mountain West was this year and not next year, and how have you and your program, I guess, how did you guys react to that and adapt to that, knowing that this is a Mountain West season and not a WAC season?
Well, we were definitely really excited, when we got announced earlier in the year that we were going to be able to join the Mountain West. And then, we were sure hopeful that it would be sooner than later. So when that announcement came, obviously we were, extremely thrilled and, excited for the opportunity. But then also, then the reality sunk in, I think, how challenging, the league is and the challenges, that are ahead of us and the things that we kind of have to, work on in just a short amount of time to get ready.
It is a step up. I do follow both leagues pretty well. As I told you, I'm a New Mexico State graduate, covered the Mountain West, so I do follow both leagues. It is going to be a step up, but it would be naive of any Mountain West follower or fan to think that the team that's been doing as well as you guys have in the WAC isn't going to be able to come in and be pretty competitive right off the bat. Do you set specific goals on how competitive? I mean, I understand you're a program that strives for championships. Do you set specific goals like competing for a championship in year one?
Well, everything's so new with our team right now. I guess my first goal is getting to know my team. We only have 2 players back that played minutes for us last year. So really trying to figure out kind of who we have, what we have, and how it all works together. And then as that progresses, then obviously I'll lean into other Mountain West teams and what they look like, for the upcoming year. So I probably can't give you a great answer on that right now, but obviously, we want to compete at the highest level. We want to be a top 25 program, and like you said, we want to compete for championships every year.
For those that aren't familiar with the resume and the bullet points, you are 120-40 in your time at Grand Canyon, which is an unbelievable record at any program. 4 NCAA tournaments in that time. The success has been there. I want to back up a little bit, and we'll get back to this year's team in a moment. But you are, I guess, how sick do you get of hearing this? But everyone knows you as the Valparaiso shot and being the Valpo guy and all that. Do you get tired of people sort of identifying Bryce Drew as that before they start realizing, okay, well, now he's the Grand Canyon coach and he's done plenty of other things since then? How tired do you get of hearing about that shot?
Well, Jeff, they can either know about you for bad stuff or, a moment like that. And so I'm much more pleased and happier that it's for, a moment that was so special, to myself, my family, our school, our community. And, years later that, TV still plays and people get to see. So that was such a blessing in my life. I'm very thankful for it and definitely don't mind seeing it or talking about it because, it was such a blessing.
There are 2 now head coaches in the Mountain West. Well, 3 head coaches that have great March Madness memories. One of them being Steve Alford has a pretty good March Madness memory of his own. Maybe not the specific moment that you had, but there's also the head coach at Colorado State, Ali Verokmanis, who I guess it wasn't a buzzer beater, but man, his highlight is shown in the same highlight reel that yours is shown in every year. And I'm curious if you guys are going to start having to have a little internal competition about who had the better March moment.
Well, I think Coach Alford probably has the highest because he won the whole thing. We only got a little piece of it, advancing. But I think all great moments, and it's really cool, that all of us have, been able to go on and be coaches and use the experiences that we all obtained, as players. But that is a cool point you make. All 3 of us have had some pretty special moments as players.
Do you, the Drew family in Indiana is certainly well known. The Alford family is certainly well known as well. And I got to cover him a little bit here, and his sons I know well as well, Bryce being one of them. I got to know his dad, Sam Alford. So I know the Alfords fairly well, and I'm curious how well you got to know the Alfords. I know it's different parts of Indiana, but it was still an Indiana basketball community. So through the years, did you cross paths with the Alfords?
We have. Being from Indiana, growing up, obviously I saw Steve play a lot, and always loved how he played. Always followed, his pro career, and then, into coaching. Actually, a funny story. When I was in the NBA, one of my last years, he was the head coach at Iowa, and actually called him, and I talked to him kind of like what it looked like when he gave up basketball, went into coaching, that whole transition. And, he gracefully took my call and took time during his season to talk to me kind of about that transition. And so he's always been, someone I've looked up to, and just so happy for all the success he's had as a player, as a coach, and, what he's done at Nevada there in a short amount of time.
Both of his sons are certainly guys who have carved out their niches. Bryce obviously was a great player. He actually graduated high school here in Albuquerque. His senior year was, single season scoring record in state history. He and Cullen Neal, Noodle's son, were 2 seniors the same year, and their rivalry at different high schools it was fun to watch, that's for sure. And one was player of the year their junior year, one was player of the year senior year. So that was like kind of a really cool moment, I think, for those 2 who were great Indiana basketball players themselves, to see their sons do it in the same year. And then Corey Alford's carving out a niche for himself as a basketball coach. He's now an assistant. Is it Oral Roberts? I believe he's now at. I believe so.
Corey got the head job. Yeah.
So Corey Barnett. Yeah, Corey Barnett got the head job, and Corey Alford's his assistant.
Oh, assistant. He left Huntington to go there.
He left Huntington to go there, which was in Indiana as well, and coincidentally, Pat Knight's coaching in that same league. So you Indiana guys, man, like you guys find your basketball niche, and you guys get around.
Well, Jeff, if you've been to Indiana, the thing that'll stand out is that you drive around, you'll see a basketball court on nearly every driveway. or every barn. And so, it was something that I took for granted living there. But since moving away, you realize how special it was, how you really kind of, all of us were born with basketball. It's kind of in our hand, have all the names that you just mentioned there.
Just kind of seeps into the blood then, right?
Yeah.
And it's basketball's in your blood. Your family, what do you take from, obviously your dad was a fantastic coach. Your brother, people know, is a fantastic coach as well. You're your own guy and your own coach, but I will start by asking what you take and have taken from them. What are they good at that you maybe still wish you were better at? Maybe what do you do a little differently from them?
Yeah, there's definitely things, I'll never catch them, that they're really gifted in. But, I really try to obtain as much knowledge from them as I can to try to hopefully keep me from roadblocks or from bumps in the road with kind of their wisdom on situations. So it helped me. My dad won 640 games in college. And so he has seen a lot. I've seen him become a better coach the older I've gotten, because now I've understood more why he did things the way he did them. And then my brother, won a national championship and at Baylor, and he has a lot of really relevant situations or situations that might come up with him that help me if it does come up in our program, during the course of the year or the future. So, very thankful, to have both of them that I can call and get very quick, knowledgeable wisdom and obviously, respect, what they do.
They're guys obviously that have been through this too, and I'm curious, do they, especially dad, maybe brothers probably don't do this, but does dad still call, or was he calling, early in your coaching career to give advice, or was he backed off?
Yeah, more backed off. We had to more really ask, a lot for it. And now we can't ask enough. He gets busy doing other things sometimes, and we're like, Dad, you got to help us. Like, you got to give us some advice on this. What do you think of this of this set or this zone? What's your opinion? And the great thing is he's seen so many things through the years. Just again, whether it be zone presses or attacking certain zones or whether it's certain coverages. And I think the biggest thing is just kind of the blueprint of a program. My brother and I both kind of took the blueprint, putting God first in our program, trying to recruit, first of all, coaches, that are loyal, trustworthy, that work hard, and then trying to build a team of culture and a family, and not just talent and individualness. So really that blueprint my brother and I have tried to take with us.
Curious what dad's busy doing now. Is it, now that he's not coaching, what's dad busy doing instead of being the basketball coach?
Yeah, I got a lot of grandkids, so one of the things we love to do is fish, and so we'll go fishing with my son and get him out, and that's a lot of fun. And then he'll visit Scott's practices, our practices, and again, it's great to keep him relevant in the game, but also again it helps us. And some of our younger coaches, it's great to have them around as a sounding board and someone that they can ask questions to also.
Is he goofy grandpa? Is he, I imagine, lots of hugs, lots of, sure, but
very, very positive. He's always been positive as a coach and as a person. That's definitely a gift that he has. So very positive and very energetic. And so, the grandkids have a good time with them.
All right. So I was in Valpo once covering a Noodles team that played against you guys. You guys had a fantastic team that year. It was 2015 season, so it's 2014 that the game was actually played. You guys had Alec Peters. You guys go 28-6. You guys make the NCAA tournament. You guys were a fantastic team. The night I went there, and UNM wasn't one of their best teams in that era. It was a solid team. It wasn't bad, but they got you guys that night by, I want to say 15 or something.
Yeah.
And you guys were better than what I saw that night. I know you were, and I know Alec Peters was better than that night, but I did see you guys play. How fondly do you remember some of those teams? And was Alec Peters one of those guys that you remember from the Valpo?
Yeah, for sure. Remember all those teams, vividly, and very disappointed in my coaching that game. Very disappointed in how we played. We shot the ball horrendous. I remember
the game.
Yeah, Hugh Greenwood, the Australian kid, had a really good game for him.
As did the two guys that had good games. Hugh, as you remember, and Deshaun Delaney, who was from the Chicago area.
Yes, they played really well. The other thing they did is Noodles did a great job. They ended up switching 1 through 5, and he hasn't really shown switching. So going into the game, we hadn't prepared for switching because he had never shown it, and so he saved it and used it first time on us. And so, but it helped us make us a better team, for the rest of the year. And that team ended up doing really well that year and the next year. And so that was a really good learning experience for us.
Well, I'll leave with one more little sour note for you, just so you can our introduction. You can remember I'm the guy that's bringing up that game.
Yeah,
no double-digit scores that game. They held you guys at 40. Let's see, it was 63-46.
Yeah, it was really low scoring.
Like I said, you guys had a 28-win season that year. Like, that was a great team. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, that game probably turned a lot of things for us in a lot of ways. And we beat a lot of teams, before that and after that.
All right, you go your Valpo career. I imagine there was probably some hesitation to leave a place, to leave home. But you knew the next step in a coaching career was probably to move on from Valpo. And how tough was that decision to leave Valparaiso and to move on anywhere? But you had an SEC opportunity.
Yeah, it was really, really hard, Jeff. I went to high school there, played college there, came back, got to be an assistant with my dad, then was the head coach. Love the group that we had. Like you mentioned, we won 28 that year. The next year, that whole team came back except one player. We won 30 games that next year. And so it was really hard and difficult to leave. And, I think God opened a door for me. We felt it was the right move at the right time. So we did it. But definitely still follow Valpo very fondly and love my days I was there.
They going to be any good this year?
They're going to be improved, yes. My assistant at the time, Roger Powell, who played in the Final Four at Illinois, played in the NBA. He was a Gonzaga assistant here on the West Coast also. This will be his third year coming up, and so they doubled their wins from year 1 to year 2, and he likes his team to hopefully even expand on that for year 3.
All right, so the opportunity to move on was to Vanderbilt. I'm not going to try and rehash what's been said of maybe the ending of the Vanderbilt years, but I will ask you this. For those wondering what I'm kind of referencing, like you had a key injury and they decided to move on, and I think a lot of people look back in hindsight as they really made a mistake. I'm not asking you to say your opinion of all that. I will ask you what you take from the Vanderbilt experience, though.
Yeah, I think all experiences in life, you either grow from them or they haunt you, and it's definitely a growth. I learned a lot in my time there, and we had some really good players. We had a lot of NBA players we recruited there, and the player you're mentioning is Darius Garland, a 2-time NBA All-Star, where we were undefeated, about to be ranked, and then he went down, and we really struggled the rest of the year. But again, a lot of great experiences, a lot of great people I met, and really helped make a pathway for me to get to GCU, which very thankful to be here. This is a great spot. Hopefully we'll get you down here, this year to a game, and you'll see why it's so unique and so great here, and why I love it and others love it here.
All right, I'm going to get to that right now, what it's like there. I will say maybe I undersold it a little bit by saying you guys lost a player that year. You guys lost a pretty good player that year.
Best player in school history.
All right, you're going to the Mountain West now. You're at Grand Canyon now. I did mention earlier 120 wins, 4 NCAA tournaments. Like you're doing pretty good. But it is a step up in leagues. Again, I know some of my New Mexico State friends and followers don't even like hearing that, but it absolutely is a step up in leagues. That doesn't mean the best team in the WAC can't be right up there as one of the best teams in the Mountain West. What do you tell your team about this step up? Like, how do you prepare them to understand that what they're about to see? And I know they're all newcomers, so maybe it doesn't even matter anymore the way college basketball is. Everybody's so new. But how do you prepare them for this isn't what it's been for the past, however many years?
Yeah, well, the good thing is we have all new players, so they really don't know what it's been like.
well, one of them does, actually, right? with Jaden Henley, he's been in the Mountain West.
Yeah. So Jaden's, played in the league, averaged double figures last year. So, we're looking forward to his experience helping us all out, in in the league, but every league moves a little bit different, plays a little bit different. It's probably refereed a little bit different. And so, obviously the only way that you get better and you learn it and it's by going through it with experience. So, we'll be learning on the fly a lot. We'll be pivoting, trying to adjust a lot as we figure things out throughout the year. But one thing, we want to make sure is, that our culture is good, that our guys are all, on board, that we're running our system well on defense and offense, and taking care of what we can take care of on our end. And then the unknown, the uncertainty of things, that'll all play itself out. Hopefully we'll learn and continue to grow through the process.
I brought up the Alfords earlier. I will ask you, do you know any coaches? Are you familiar with any venues around the Mountain West? I know Grand Canyon, for those that don't know, you guys had a year where you beat 2 ranked teams, including St. Mary's and San Diego State. You're not unfamiliar with some Mountain West schools, but what is your familiarity with some of the venues and some of the coaches in the league?
Yeah, we played up at Reno, against Nevada. Obviously good home court for them up there. Not at GCU, but in the past I've played at New Mexico. You guys have a great home court, advantage there. I think one of the biggest adjustments for us will be the altitude. It's kind of, I don't think people around the country realize, you're looking at 6 or 7 games on the road that are in altitude. And, as a coach, that's definitely a concern. That's new. A lot of conferences and programs don't have to worry about, about those road games. But I haven't experienced it that long. I've done a one out at Wyoming. You guys have altitude.
You've been to Wyoming though. You've done a game.
Yeah, I've been to Wyoming, and I can tell you, just walking into the arena, I was catching my breath on that.
The hallway down the hallway with the locker rooms and the highest,
the long ones. Yeah,
this was the highest court in the land, 7220. So 220 feet. It's no good.
And the Mountain West loves the long hallways going uphill to your locker room. All the ones with altitude. I think they had that special for all the visiting teams. And so I think that's one thing. Hopefully it's not an issue, but it's just the uncertainty of not knowing. If you play that many games, how your team reacts to it.
All right, you guys you said you had the 2 returners. I want to ask you about 3 of your new guys, 3-year transfer. I think you have 7 transfers and 4 freshmen, so 11 new players. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
All right, I want to ask you about 3 of your transfers, and if there's anybody that you want to make sure to mention, please do so. But I want to start with Jaden, the UNLV transfer that some Mountain West players fans are gonna be familiar with. What does he bring you guys?
Yeah, first he brings experience, and especially Mountain West experience, which we like. He's played in those arenas, played against those teams, a lot of the coaches, and so we'll rely on him a lot to help us, throughout the season with different things, scouting details, travel details, just things since he's been through it. We also have a couple coaches on our staff that have coached in the Mountain West. And so, I think that, one coach, one played. And so that'll help too, just having their experience. But he's a terrific player. You saw him last year. He's a tall guard. When UNLV moved him to the point guard position, he kind of really took off at the end. And so we're playing a lot with the ball in his hands. And he's done a really good job so far in practice.
Yeah, I get why he wasn't the point guard earlier in the year when they had Deion Thomas, but when I saw him running the point, I was like, this is one of those, you start to question the coach. Why wasn't he doing this a little more? In their situation, I get why, but you get it from the start. Putting the ball in his hands is a good thing.
Yeah, and he feels very comfortable. He has good size to be able to, pass over the top of players and really good vision. So he's been great. He's been very coachable. He's really jumped in from day one and worked hard every day.
All right, your Brown transfer, 6'8", averaged. I'm gonna take a stab at his name. You correct me if I get this wrong, but Nana Awusu Anane.
I just call him Nana, so you're ahead of me even.
Works for me.
Yeah.
6'8" transfer from Brown, and he didn't play last year. I want to ask you how his shoulder was, but for those that don't know, 2 years ago, the guy averaged 14.7 points, 8.8 rebounds, and that was 2 years ago. But he missed last year with the left shoulder injury. Is he okay health wise?
Completely healthy. Playing 5-on-5, doing really well. And, we love his leadership. We love his competitiveness. And, we look for him to hopefully, have a breakout, year because he's that talented. He's that hard of a worker.
Brian Moore Jr., Norfolk State. I'll show my New Mexico State roots again here. The Lou Henson Award winner,
Yeah.
which is given to the best mid-major player. This is a guy that last year averaged 18.7 points, 3.3 assists, 3.4 rebounds, 1.3 steals, did a little bit of everything. He'll be on a more talented team now and maybe doesn't have the same usage numbers. Maybe he will. I don't know. But I'll ask you, what role is Brian Moore Jr. going to have on this GCU team?
Yeah, we love his experience. He's got a lot of game experience, a lot of big game experience. He's had to close a lot of games out in his career. And so I think his maturity and his experience at the guard position will be key for us. He has really good ability to get to the free throw lines very fast. He defends well. And again, he's very motivated. One thing we really tried to do in the portal was find guys that were, really, really motivated and felt like they still had a lot to prove in college basketball. And so, he's a guy coming in and he comes with a chip on his shoulder and really wants to, prove, that he can play well and play well at this level.
Any other players that you think we need to know will probably be the key players for you guys this year?
Yeah, we've had, we feel like this is the deepest team, since I've been here, that we've had. We feel very comfortable, going 11 deep, right now in games. And, we have Wilhelm Bradenbach, who was at Nebraska, was at Washington. Really like him. Dusty Stromer, who's at Gonzaga, has done really well. And so we just have a lot of pieces that we like. Now it's just kind of integrating them and getting them all together and on the same page.
Two more for you, and I'll let you get out of here. But one is you talked about getting guys on the same page to play, all coaches use terms like this, but to play our basketball, to play our culture, our system, to play GCU basketball. What is GCU basketball for those unfamiliar with it on the court anyway? What do you run? What do you do?
Yeah, a lot of man-to-man, so play a lot of man-to-man, and then offense, we like to have a lot of different guys touch it and be able to shoot it, and so, a lot of ball movement. But, hopefully in the day, hopefully we play the game the right way. We play hard. Hopefully we play, that people can see how connected our guys out there, are with our unselfishness. And so that's a challenge, I think, every year is trying to find guys that want to come and be part of a team and have, some unselfishness to them. But also, again, being really good players and talented players, that can play, now at the Mountain West level. So we like this group, but, it's going to come out when we see you later in the year and we can see how it's all coming together at that point.
For those that don't know the Havocs, you're about to know the Havocs, and I'm curious, what role does your student section play in the success of Grand Canyon University basketball? Yeah,
they're tremendous. I think I've been around a lot of different college atmospheres, and it's just so unique here. After seeing a game in our atmosphere, I think it's sometimes hard to go to another atmosphere and watch a game because they do such a good job with the game operations and our crowd. So, I know there's some very tough crowds in the Mountain West. You guys, Utah State, San Diego State, Boise. There's a lot of really tough places to go play. Hopefully ours will be, added on that list that people won't like coming to. I'm going to put you on the spot for two things New Mexico related. First, New Mexico State. Say something good about the New Mexico State Aggies, can you? Yeah, they've had some great players, great tradition of winning, back for decades and decades. And, I think it's, they've had so many winning players. Obviously, Siakam, took him to a whole new level. And what he's done in the NBA has just been, incredible. I don't think anybody maybe saw that coming, even how good he's done. I'll make sure to let your student section know not to watch that part. The NMSU GCU thing kind of got going a little bit there, right? You guys had some good games. It did. I was just I understood the rivalry coming in, but it was just starting to kind of really understand it. Very. I think even before I got here, I think it was even more intense for a stretch. They're certainly going through their rebuild that we're familiar with. So I can say one of the heartbreakers was when I came here. I was, looking, old film came up and part of the rivalry, and seeing McCants throw in like that 70-footer when GCU had the game won. Like that one still to this day, I'm just like, oh my gosh.
You weren't even there, right? I mean,
I wasn't even there, and it still hurts. It hurts watching that.
well, I'm gonna have to find that clip and put it over.
Yeah. Thank you. No, that one still hurts. I wasn't even part of GCU at the time, but
yeah, Johnny McCants,
that game literally hurts.
The rare in-state player in New Mexico. Not a lot of D1 players come out of New Mexico, but he was one. He was an in-state guy. So Johnny McCants. And then New Mexico in general, we're a state that's proud of our basketball at both schools. We're a state that's proud of our green chili. Are you familiar much with New Mexico in general? The food, just anything about New Mexico?
Yeah, we recruited a player a couple years ago from there, Isaiah Carr.
Yeah.
So got to travel over, be with his family and different things. And actually, I think there's some Western stuff, some Billy the Kid stuff. There. So got to see a little bit of that. That was pretty cool. And then
Coach Ben was his. Coach William Benjamin was his coach there.
Yep,
and, he's a New Mexico State legend too, and a good high school coach here in the state.
Yep. Who played at New Mexico State, and then it's just been Albuquerque. Drove through there. I remember driving through New Mexico when we were young on a family vacation. It's how pretty it is, and so a lot of really pretty areas to your state.
It's a lot of people going to be at both games. I don't know if you guys will do a bus ride if that's something in the cards like you guys did for the NMSU games, but the Pit's a pretty special venue that hopefully a lot of your guys' fans will take a chance to be a part of as well at some point, because it is a good venue. I'll say the same about New Mexico fans. UNM fans should get out there and see what you guys got going too, because some of you are familiar with Viejas Arena. Some of you guys are familiar with Logan. There's another one on the block now, and it's pretty crazy what you guys got going on there for home games.
It is. It's a lot of fun, and I can feel there's going to be some intense rivalry with fans in the upcoming years.
Yeah, absolutely. Bryce, I appreciate it, man. I'll sign off with this. Is there anything else you want newcomers, to you guys, I guess, are the newcomers, but the people around the Mountain West just to know about your program and about this year ahead?
No, I think it's great. Hopefully we'll get you down to a game and hopefully, like you said, our fans will get to travel out to some games on the road and see these nice venues in the Mountain West.
Appreciate you, man. Hey, good luck this year. I will get to know you obviously a little bit better throughout the season. I know I saw an email this week. I guess it's getting closer because I got my first media day alert is coming up in October. It's a little ways down the road, but it means it's getting closer, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. I'm sure you are in a way too. So, Bryce, thank you for coming on the show, and I look forward to getting to know you a little better this season.
Sounds great. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
All right, there you go. There's my conversation with Bryce Drew, the head coach of Grand Canyon. You guys are going to be, I think, pleasantly surprised with how good and how competitive Grand Canyon is, and how much better they make the men's basketball program, the men's basketball conference in the Mountain West this season immediately. So I do think it's a good addition for the Mountain West. Had the Pac-12 and Mountain West had the split or not, Grand Canyon adds to the Mountain West and men's basketball. It does not subtract, so it's a good addition. I mentioned earlier there is a new podcast that I've been doing. What's Up in 505? Sports stories told in 5 minutes 5 seconds. Of course, I have not yet hit the 5 minutes and 5 second deadline. I've gone to about six minutes or so on every one of these podcasts. My latest, though, episode 3, is with former Lobo Alex Kirk, still playing professionally in Japan. I want you guys to take a look at that new podcast, which is available on the Albuquerque Journal's YouTube page anytime you want. I realize that some of you guys are listening to this podcast as an audio only. For now, that podcast is video only on the Albuquerque Journal's YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, if you've not liked, please do so to this podcast, to the Talking Grammar podcast page, to the new podcast, which is What's Up in 505. You can do all that on YouTube. You can do it on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening, SoundCloud, however you're listening or however you're watching. I'm very appreciative that you're doing so. Got a dozen podcasts at the Albuquerque Journal Podcast Network now. Hope you're enjoying all of those and just giving a bunch of the new ones a try. A lot of different topics there. But for now, happy you guys are watching this one, and happy you guys are giving a try or giving a chance to the new podcast, What's Up in 505. Here you go, episode 3 with Alex Kirk. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff Grammer with the Albuquerque Journal, and this is What's Up in 505, sports stories told and wrapped up in 5 minutes, 5 seconds. And I'm with an old friend of not only this podcast and a guy I've known. I remember covering him back in high school, Alex Kirk, former Lobo, former Los Alamos Hilltopper.
I'm ready.
Let's do it here. All right, Alex. Remind people, I am with Alex Kirk, and Alex, remind people where you've been playing most recently.
Most recently, the last couple of seasons, just transferred over to a club on the Okinawa Islands, the UQ Islands. I play for a club in Japan called the UQ Golden Kings. And then I've also been playing for the Japanese national team.
So, as funny as that sounds just on its surface, I did write about this. Some people know, but why in the world is 7-foot redhead Los Alamos New Mexican Alex Kirk playing on the Japanese national team? How does that come about?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously there's an import limit for every team, and with the amount of time I've been in Japan, and I guess you could say my ability to speak the Japanese language, I was able to obtain the Japanese passport. And the main guy who's a little bit younger, younger in his career, he's kind of like the main guy. But during the last couple FIBA windows, I was able to suit up for the national team for 3 or 4 games versus Mongolia and China, and quite the experience being able to play for our national team.
You are now in the United States as we record this. You are back in New Mexico, and you've been here for a good chunk of the summer. But you didn't come alone. You're not just visiting family alone. Why don't you tell people, again, for those who have not kept up with Alex Kirk the past decade plus since you played at UNM, why don't you tell people the 2 people that came with you on this trip?
Yeah, so the last few summers I've been joined by my wife, Rachel Adams, who's retired professional volleyball player, a Rio Olympian, 2-time All-American at Texas that we were just reminded of this last weekend when we visited Austin, and then we're also with our son who just turned 1 last month, little Kai.
You were just reminded of her being an All-American. I'm sure she had nothing to do with reminding you of her All-American status.
Well, it's crazy. She actually forgot how many times she was an All-American. And I'm like,
must be nice, sure, right?
But we went over to the wall, and she's like, yeah, I'm a one-time All-American. And I was like, pretty sure it says you were a 2-time All-American up here on this wall in the University of Texas Longhorn Hall of Fame. So, yeah, that was quite the experience just to see all that and see what she built over there with her resume.
The best athlete in the family is?
Oh, Kai. Good gracious, the kid's going to be a beast. Obviously Rachel. Just her resume and what she's done in her career has been spectacular. But yeah, Kai's growing.
You're going to be 3rd on that list pretty soon, aren't you?
Very soon, very soon. I need to start stretching because I might be one of those kids that loses to their 12-year-old son at some point.
That's awesome. I've seen videos of hers, kind of this. It would make a good reality TV, right? Make a good little documentary or some kind of show, because I'm seeing, again, 7-foot Alex Kirk in the backseat of the car, just, as you're driving around the country. And she had I think it was just on her story on Instagram just last night, I think it was. But you guys really are just finding gyms to work out while you're here. You're finding places for her to work out, for you to work out. But also you got a 1-year-old that's got to stay entertained, and he's hitting the gym too. Like, how hard has it been finding places to work out?
I mean, surprisingly, it's been almost near impossible to find anywhere here in Rio Rancho. That was a little bit frustrating coming back, and I needed to take a rest. I mean, I played almost 90 basketball games last year, added all the practice in the 10-month-long season. So I needed to take a rest, but then it came time to find, some facilities to work out in. And I just wanted something closer so we could get in and out, get back for nap times and all that good stuff. And have a place for Rachel to work out also last year. And we worked out at Grady 8. last year, and Kevin Banks led us in the gym a lot last year, but wanted to find something a little bit closer. But yeah, honestly, couldn't get anyone to pick up the phone and respond to me. So let's call an old friend in Brandon Mason.
In the governor of New Mexico, Brandon Mason.
Yeah, it's of course he's been great to us. He's always been good to me. Yeah, I mean, I give him a lot of crap, but he's definitely been good for me, and he's been a big help this summer when I've been able to work out. I mean, it's still quite the drive, but it's been great.
All right, man. A decade plus as a professional basketball player. Don't know if you ever thought you'd get it on the north side of a decade playing professionally. How much longer does Alex Kirk, the professional basketball player, have playing some pro basketball?
I mean, you never want to start talking about how long you got, because then it'll probably end rather quickly. But knock on wood, hopefully I can play for quite a bit longer. I can't stress enough how excited and how happy we are in Okinawa with the UQ Kings, and we want to continue to stay there as long as possible. And my focus is just on doing what I can for that club, and hopefully they want to keep us around for the next 3 or 4 years, maybe 5, 6. We'll see, and then we'll have to kind of figure out what's next.
Hey, Alex, I appreciate you for doing this, man. You've been on this podcast a couple times in the past, and certainly appreciate you for doing it again. I will have you on hopefully again sometime not too, I don't know, it's been a few years since the last time you did something like this, so hopefully we'll have you on again before it's another 5 years.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Appreciate you, man. All right, there you go. Thank you, Alex Kirk, the former Lobo, for joining me in What's Up in 505. Thank you to my guest earlier in the Talking Grammar podcast, Bryce Drew, the head coach of Grand Canyon University. He is a first-year member of the Mountain West, this school and his program is, and hopefully you guys get to know him and his program a little bit better now through this podcast, and you'll begin to know him and his, certainly the Grand Canyon fan base will certainly let themselves be known around the Mountain West very soon. And I think you guys are going to like the addition of GCU to the Mountain West. Until next time, hope you guys got to give the usual plug. Please subscribe to the Albuquerque Journal and help local journalism if you can. If you subscribe at abqjournal.com/subscribe to the print edition or to the digital edition, to both if you'd like, it does help stuff like this podcast. So does subscribing and liking here on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, wherever you're listening to this or watching this. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button. Leave some comments. Whatever you need to do. The engagement helps. The engagement also adds to me learning what you guys want and making a better show. Appreciate you guys. Once again, appreciate Bryce. Appreciate Alex for joining me. Until next time, thanks for watching.